maybe they're getting it. Maybe 40-some games into the season, maybe they finally figured out what Phil Housley wants out of them and how to do it right.
That's something to consider as well that I wanted to talk about, because when you have a number of players turned over, you have a new general manager, you have a new coaching staff, and a new system and structure, even if you practice nonstop every day through training camp and try to squeeze in as many practices as you can through the season, there is a period of adjustment, and it takes an awful long time to do things without thinking about them. And that's a bigger hurdle for some players to get over than others.
It is. And, I think at some point, maybe sometimes these guys just, they push the button where they just said, you know what, forget it. We're just going to do things. We're going to just, forget, the mechanics and, the proper way of handling a puck and doing this, that, and the other thing, and saying, forget it. We're just going to do what the coach says we should be doing and jump into the play the way that we should, and maybe react a little bit more instinctually on how to do things. And I think there's been a part of that to how they've played too. Now, mind you, the play of Jack Eichel's had a lot to do with that too, because he's been on another planet here the last few weeks, and I think that's another part to what's helped them succeed, is that Jack's played great, and it's the pressure it's taken off guys down the line. I think that's really helped out as well.
Joe Yerdon is with us, covers the Buffalo Sabres for NHL.com. At Joe Yerdon is how you follow him on Twitter. It seems like Jack has been kind of channeling that passion that we have seen on display a few times from him, where he's said something and been aggravated and frustrated at his team, like being sick of losing, but he seems to be channeling it all into his play on the ice now, and we're the beneficiaries because we get to watch him out there.
Yeah, and when Jack's going like this, and we saw this for a good stretch last season too, where when he's going, there are very few players that are as exciting to watch. I mean, I look at some of the moves he was able to pull off in some of these games, and just the puck handling and the ability to get shots off and to make a move in tight, where he's got a defender right in front of him, and he's able to make them disappear like they're not even there, and he's able to just wheel around and make something happen. I mean, that kind of stuff is exactly what everybody wants to see from him all the time. And just sometimes, maybe it's a mental hurdle, maybe it's this, that, or the other thing. But, when he's going like this, I mean, it makes the Sabres so much better, and it makes them more fun to watch, and it makes them a much more dangerous team. And I think the teams out west got a full dose of that, this past week, because when Jack's rolling that way, and his teammates just go right along with it, and it's not like they're waiting for him to make the moves. It's just when he's doing things like that, it just opens up so much space, because the other defenders on the ice, 1, 2, or 3 other guys are going to say, "Uh-oh, we all got to watch him." And when he's got the ability to get free and find room, everybody else is going to cash in because of that.
You mentioned that there was some improved play. Some of the others out on when the Sabres were on their Western Canadian swing as well. Evander Kane's been good. Rasmus Ristolainen is another one who recently has started to get more of the right kind of attention from me in terms of his improved play.
Yeah, and what's helped out there is he hasn't had to play those 31-minute games. When you're able to roll 3 D pairs, and Rasmus is going to play a lot of that time too. He and Scandella are going to play at least 25 minutes a night, but instead of having to put him out there for 28, 29, 30 minutes a night, I look at that Vancouver game. I think he only played about 26 and a half minutes, and comparatively speaking, that's a pretty light night. And to me, that says that everybody else is doing their job, but really speaks to how well Scandella and Ristolainen have doubled down on what they're supposed to do, because on the road, they're trying to give them the hard assignments. You don't get that last change, so you have to try to make those guys work a little bit more. But I think with the way he's played, he's been steady. He's been solid, and he's been such a physical element out there as well. I mean, I think when they picked up Marco Scandella this year, a lot of people figured he was going to be the heavy guy out there. But I think Ristolainen's been a definitive physical player and a lot nastier of a player too. And I think that sort of edge is something the Sabres need a little bit. Getting it from one of your top guys, that says a lot.
Now, the other thing with the Buffalo Sabres is until we get past the trade deadline, the names of everyone on the roster, except for Eichel, and you and I have talked about this earlier, that except for Eichel, the office is open for business. I'm just not sure how busy Jason Botterill is going to be moving up to the trade deadline. Evander Kane seems to be a given, but I'm not sure how much more business is going to get done with the Sabres.
Well, I don't know how much more business they're going to do, because I think a lot of the other guys that could be traded are guys that are sort of role player plug-in depth help. But the one guy who may have helped make a case for himself is Robin Leonard. I mean, he's working on 2 straight shutouts. I mean, he was the guy who kind of took the brunt of that 7-1 loss in Dallas. But Leonard's looked outstanding. Against Edmonton, against Vancouver, he looked great in both of those games. And, if you're looking for a guy who could be a surprise person to get traded, I don't know how much of a surprise it would be. I mean, he his contract's up. He's an RFA again, for this year. And there's some teams out there that could use some goaltending help. And Leonard is certainly a guy that could be a marked upgrade, especially when he's playing like this. But if you're looking for somebody who's going to be maybe kind of a wild card in this whole thing, I mean, it really depends on what Jason Botterill wants to do. If he decides that Leonard's going to be his guy for the future, well, okay, well, you ain't going to trade him. But then you've got Linus Ullmark in Rochester, who's been playing outstanding, and maybe kind of pining a little bit, saying, if we move Robin, we're going full on for Linus. But this is going to be a very interesting situation to watch as the trade deadline comes up, because Leonard is definitely a guy who could be traded for a pretty good price.
Going to be interesting to watch over the next few weeks until we get to the deadline. Joe Yerdon covering the Buffalo Sabres for NHL.com. At Joe Yerdon is how you follow him on Twitter. Good stuff today, Joe. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, you got it, Todd. Take care.
All right, Joe Yerdon from NHL.com. Jack Eichel, the member of the Buffalo Sabres, who is here in Tampa for NHL All-Star Weekend. It is the skills competition coming up later on this evening. The 3-on-3 tournament takes place tomorrow. That's just part of what's going on in the city. It is an enormous celebration that is getting underway now in the downtown with the Gasparilla Pirate Festival. Hundreds of thousands dressed up as pirates. There's boats. There's a parade. The Stanley Cup is here and participating in the parade. There is so much going on, and it is all encompassing in terms of downtown Tampa right now, all centered around Amalie Arena, where the skills competition will take place. Hundreds of thousands celebrating, as mentioned. There's, the odd cocktail that's probably being consumed as well, too, but that's just making for part of the atmosphere. Another great All-Star weekend. Weather's fantastic. It's all good stuff right now that's happening. Lots to get into today. I mentioned we have a loaded program. Jesse Granger will join us later on. We'll talk Vegas Golden Knights. Stephen Whyno from the Associated Press coming up. All things NHL. Our friend Sean McIndoe with the latest on the National Hockey League. And Sean Gentille coming up in our next segment from the Sport News and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Don't look now, but those Pittsburgh Penguins are climbing in the standings. We'll get the latest on that and much more. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Tweet us. Send us via Instagram your photos for your Dog of the Day nomination. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tell us your name, your dog's name, and why that dog is special. We like to recognize great dogs, and we do it every Saturday. Their photo goes up on our website in the gallery and on our Facebook page as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis live from NHL All-Star Weekend in Tampa. Back after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD.
Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design, and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Powered by Time Radio. We're live at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Hashtag is a Dog of the Day to nominate your dog for the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis Dog of the Day. Something we do every Saturday, recognizing great dogs. We like to recognize them. Tweet us the photo, send it on Instagram, send it along to us with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and we'll choose a winner. Every Saturday, we like to recognize great dogs. Tell us your name. There's a story that goes along with how you two came together, then we like that as well. It's a busy program loaded up with guests today. Sean Gentille scheduled to join us momentarily with the latest on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Oh, those Pittsburgh Penguins. Everybody was so worried early on in the season. What's going on? What's happening with the Pittsburgh Penguins? Did they play too much hockey? They won back-to-back Stanley Cups. They had to turn over so much of the roster. Marc-Andre Fleury's not there now to help out with Matt Murray. Just kind of look at where the Pittsburgh Penguins are in the standings now. Slowly making their way up, slowly moving in the right direction. We flipped over into a new year. We're into the second half of the season. I wasn't all that worried about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Things seem to be working out okay. Sean Gentille covers the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You can also check him out on Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter at Sean Gentille. That's with 2 L's, and he joins us now. Sean, I just mentioned that I wasn't one of the ones that was super worried about the Pittsburgh Penguins. I thought they'd be okay. And as soon as we're into the second half of the season now, their schedule lightens up a little bit, gets a little more team-friendly. Look at that. They've won 8 of 11 in 2018.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people you can jump when you win 8 out of 11 games. I think my main concern for them was that, you know, if there was a concern, it was that the teams ahead of them weren't going to lose enough games. And like lo and behold, the Hurricanes came back to life, or came back to earth. The Islanders came back to earth. You know, the Rangers seem like they're looking to sell now. So. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to make up ground when you win games, but it's also easy to make up ground when the teams around you lose, and you know, in those same circumstances.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other part of it too. I mean, we thought, okay, Carolina, we expected them to be better, and they have been better this year, but they've just kind of been Carolina as well. The Islanders just a little early. But because they scored a lot of goals, but they couldn't keep the puck out of their net. And the Rangers, they were cold, they were hot, and then they're cold again. And it just seems like the competition is settling into where we kind of expected everyone to be.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, so much of the issues that the Penguins were having were, really luck based. You know, their shooting percentage was really low. The schedule, like you mentioned earlier, really broke kind of badly for them. So I always kind of anticipated that they had a run like this in them. To me, the issue was always going to be, you know, if they were a little bit too far behind. But man, it's definitely the minute they hit the reset button pretty quickly. You know, we're not even out of January yet, and it seems like they were able to walk back whatever damage they did to themselves, particularly in December. So yeah, it's been interesting to watch.
And they've kind of had some injuries through their lineup as well, which was probably contributing, with Brian Rust, who misses a little bit of time, Malkin misses a game here, and a few others as well. You have Matt Murray, who misses a few games for personal reasons, plus some injuries. So it's just kind of getting the lineup settled and a little more orderly as well.
Oh, absolutely. The injuries on a lot of levels have been pretty constant for them, and the guy also he's been healthy, but Chris Letang played brutal hockey for the first 3 months of the season, and he's looked more like himself here, you know, over the last couple of weeks, and that's really important, because Chris Letang, when he's healthy and playing the right way, I mean, he's a Norris Trophy finalist caliber guy. I mean, I really do believe that. So, you know, whether it was him rounding into shape after the neck injury or whatever it was, you know, basically Chris Letang was playing brutal hockey at various points throughout the season. And now you have him looking more like himself. You have Justin Schultz, who's managed to stay in the lineup. You know, he's dealing with a concussion and some other stuff there in the fall. You know, they're rounding into shape at the right time. You know, and I think that's a really important thing for sure.
And we're also seeing the Pittsburgh Penguins recipe again coming up as well, with young players who get called up, put into the lineup, and find themselves having an impact and contributing, whether it's JSD, who came up and he scored his first goal. Dominic Simone has also been making himself known out on the ice. But it's they find young players, they play them in Wilkes-Barre, then they bring them up, and they find a way to make an impact in this lineup.
Yeah, Simone's been really interesting too. I mean, it was funny, really, from the jump, really, right after they recalled him the first time. Their aim was always to play him on the Crosby line. I think, but his second game in the lineup, I believe it was, he was on Crosby's wing, which is really interesting, and that's something that we've seen. You know, Todd, you mentioned that we've seen it work in the past with Crosby, where, you know, you pair him with a guy like Connor Sherry. You pair him with a young, you know, fast player who doesn't overthink things. I think that works in a lot of ways, and we've seen that to a pretty serious extent with Simone. I think he's gotten better, particularly in the last 4 or 5 games. Absolutely.
Sean Gentille is with us, covers the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Post-Gazette, also contributor to Sporting News. At Sean Gentille is how you follow him on Twitter. And with in terms of the goaltending question, Tristan Jarry came up, and I think he helped kind of solidify things after the Antti Niemi experiment went bad. But Casey DeSmith has also been called up and played really well at times for Pittsburgh when he's been thrown in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've seen the work he's done over the last week. I mean, he's granted they you know, you have Matt Murray, who is missing time because of the death of his father, you know, but they really chose to play DeSmith over Jarry down that stretch there, and he's been good. He's been good in the NHL, and he was in. He actually had to pull out of the AHL All-Star game because of the success he had here over the last week or so. But yeah, he's someone who they've needed, you know. And it is funny, you know. You mentioned Niemi, you know, that a team that started the year with in such a bad place with a backup situation. Yeah, it seems like they have two pretty viable options right now. If nothing else, those guys those guys have helped them weather a pretty serious storm. Not just with Murray's, Murray missing a few games here because of his dad, but when he was hurt earlier, I mean, Tristan Jarry came in and was really, really good. And I think they needed it from those guys. Things could have sunk really on them if those guys weren't as good as they have been.
Do you expect Jim Rutherford to make an adjustment, make an acquisition to supplement the lineup at some point before the trade deadline? Is there an area that you would see that would get attention? Usually everybody's looking for a little bit of depth on defense for sure. Is there anything else besides that?
It still feels like he's going to try to go out and get another center. I mean, like Jake Gentille has been good, and he's moved really from a top six winger to the third line center role there. It's been interesting. He played it in college. He's gotten progressively better in that spot. But it does still feel like, if it's possible for them to swing that deal for if not a fourth and certainly a third line center, I do think they need another option there. And Rutherford has said multiple times and pretty recently that he's still looking. It's just a matter of finding something that makes sense.
Just before I let you go, I got to ask, because I don't think he's getting enough recognition and enough credit for the kind of season he's having. Is Phil Kessel, who's leading the Pittsburgh Penguins in points with 21 goals and a total of 58 points. He's up near the top in the overall scoring in the National Hockey League, but he's just kind of doing it the Phil Kessel way too. Low key, doesn't make a lot of noise, but he's just productive every time he plays.
Absolutely, man. That power play is really, really fun to watch right now, and that's in no small part because of Kessel. Like if they end up pulling this off and really right the ship for the long term here, we're going to look back on the stretch of games in December and in the first part of January where really the only thing that was working for them was the power play. That was it. 5-on-5, they were unlucky and or bad, right? But they were afloat because of the power play, and they were really afloat because of Kessel's performance there. So yeah, it's been a really good season from him, and they've needed it desperately for sure.
The other thing that I wanted to mention and ask you about is with the rest of the mentioned earlier that some of the teams had come back to earth and fallen off, and the hot story over the last 48 hours or so has been the Rangers will consider blowing it up. Now, everybody's definition of blow is different. Do you see a big transformation to the Rangers leading to the deadline and perhaps through the summer?
And man, that's the $1 million question, right? They have a lot of pieces that a lot of teams would want. I think it's something they should definitely think about. And I've thought that of them for the last couple of years, really. I mean, like their salary structure is not where you'd like to see, right? Those guys are getting older, and you can I don't think they're an elite team anymore. So yeah, I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to to potentially blow it up here down the road for sure.
Good stuff as always from Sean Gentille from Sporting News and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette at Sean Gentille is how you should be following him on Twitter. Appreciate it, John. We'll talk again soon.
No, Todd, anytime, man. I'll talk to you next time.
Great. Appreciate it. Sean Gentille covering the Pittsburgh Penguins and the National Hockey League, focusing on the match. That's 8-3 since January, just past the middle of the season. Players starting to get healthy, a couple of young players coming up and contributing, getting in the lineup is the Pittsburgh Penguins recipe. I'm a little surprised it didn't work out for Daniel Sprong, who only managed a couple of goals in 8 games, but I would view that as only a temporary setback. He'll go back to Wilkes-Barre. He'll come back and succeed at perhaps next time. It's happened with a few other players. Jake Gensel went back and forth once or twice, managed to solidify a nice spot in the Pittsburgh Penguins lineup for himself. I don't like where Pittsburgh's going, just kind of moving in the right direction. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to send us your nomination. Send us a photo of your dog, your name, the dog's name, story of how you two together. We select a great dog of the day every Saturday to recognize great. The photo goes up on our website and in our Facebook gallery. Lots to come on this special edition from an NHL All-Star Weekend in Tampa. Dane Mizutani will join us after the break. That and more, all straight ahead.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design, Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered. It's the Saturday edition here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at Hockey Unfiltered at Todd Sports Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Looking for your Dog of the Day nominations as we do every Saturday. Send them to us via Instagram, via Twitter. Just tweet us the photo, your name, your dog's name. If there's a good story that goes along with it as well, we like to recognize great dog. Busy show as we are live from Tampa Bay for NHL All-Star Weekend. Jesse Granger will join us a little bit later on in the program. Have the latest on the Vegas Golden Knights, who are all the talk of the National Hockey League. Is this real? Can they keep going? How far can they go? Are they a legitimate playoff team? Sure. Can they go deep in the playoffs? Are we going to see them in the Western Conference Final? Can they play for the Stanley? I don't know if we're quite ready to answer all those questions yet, but certainly a lot of topics that we can discuss as well. Alison Lukan covers the Columbus Blue Jackets for the Athletic in Cleveland, and she will join us. I'm a little curious about the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's a lot of questions. They're just kind of proceeding along and doing their thing. Stephen Whyno will be with us as well in hour number 2. Sean McIndoe has done a nice piece about the Olympics coming up. We'll talk about that as well as NHL All-Star. There's been a whole bunch of talk about goaltender interference over the last few days. There have been some calls. There have been some comments from outspoken coaches, we'll say, who have disagreed with the call. Surprise, when the call went against them. The call went against them and they disagreed with it. Who's surprised at that? Not me. Oh, well, I'm going to save my thoughts on the goaltender interference until we get towards the end of the program, because there's a lot of different layers to it and stuff. So we'll get into that. Happy to welcome back to the program from the Pioneer Press covering the Minnesota Wild. You can follow him on Twitter at Dane Mizutani. Dane joins us now. Dane, I got to ask about the Minnesota Wild, and it just seems like this is two different teams so often. The team that we see at home at the XL Energy Center, and then we see the team that plays out on the road and looks completely different.
Yeah, Todd, you got that right. It's crazy. I mean, they can look so good when they're playing in St. Paul, and then you look at a game like the other night in Pittsburgh. They just got wiped off the floor in the first two periods. And I know they made it finished 6-3, but the Penguins stopped playing in that third period, and rightfully so. I mean, they had built a 6-goal cushion at that point. So there's no moral victory in cutting it to a 6-3 loss. I mean, they got destroyed in every facet of the game. And that's been a recurring problem, like you mentioned. I mean, the Wild, when they get on the road, just seem to play like a different team. And we've asked Coach Bruce Boudreau time and time again, what is the problem? Why is this happening? And he doesn't have an answer. The players don't have an answer. It's just something that they need to figure out. Maybe they can't answer it with words, but they need to figure out what's going on, because you look at the West right now, it's so gridlocked towards the bottom. And the Wild aren't catching any teams in the Central, but they're going to need to be a better team on the road if they want any chance of making the playoffs. Because if you play so well at home and then you just give games away on the road, you're just not going to make up enough ground to kind of lock yourself into one of those final two wild card spots. So something that needs to change. Maybe the All-Star comes at a good time for them, just so they can kind of regroup after just getting destroyed. But we'll see. They need to figure it out. Only 30-something games left, so not much time to go.
And that's the difficult part, is that we're about 2/3 of the way through the season now, and just think Minnesota's got it going. It's nope. Then whether it's on the road or at home, they'll lose a game or a couple of games, and because of that competitive central, you've got Colorado that you got. I'm not sure that Chicago's making it, but you're going to hear from them before the end of the season. So that's another team that you're getting some pressure from behind at this point, and then Dallas too. I think everybody expected them to be better, but I don't think everybody expected everyone in the center.
Yeah, for sure. And you looked at the game before the Pittsburgh Penguins game, the Wild were on a season-high 6-game point streak and really didn't make up much ground, because Colorado won 10 games in a row. Anaheim got, a little hot there, hot and cold. And then there's L.A. there too. And you mentioned Chicago. I mean, they're still 5-something points back, but I think everyone is expecting the Blackhawks to make some sort of a run at some point, at least make things interesting. I mean, this is the Chicago Blackhawks we're talking about. They can look so bad, and in one game they can flip the switch. We've seen it in the past. So they're not done yet. So it's crazy. I mean, you look at it, it's almost like you can't lose, because if you lose, so many other teams are winning that you start to lose ground like that. And it kind of stinks from the Wild's perspective, where they played so good for a couple of weeks and they really didn't build any ground because everyone else was playing really well too. So it sounds cliche, but it's like a playoff atmosphere right now. And we asked Coach Bruce Boudreau about it. Are you worried that your team is going to get burned out, because every game holds a lot of significance? And he said, I can't worry about that. Because they're so important, we just got to go as hard as we can until we can't go anymore. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure. But it's going to come down to the wire, no doubt about that.
And it's just looking over the statistics. There's things that puzzle me as to why they happen. We know the big giant slump that Mikko Koivu went through before he snapped out, but he still only got 6 goals on the season. Charlie Coyle is the other one that sticks out to me. I keep expecting more from him, and based on what we've seen previously, but he's only got 4 goals this season, and those are two of the biggest surprises.
Yeah, Mikko's that's been a frustrating one for I think everyone who watches the Wild, just because all the things he does, you just need him to start scoring too. I mean, but then you look at a guy like Charlie Coyle. I mean, Mikko Koivu, Bruce Boudreau at least feels comfortable throwing him against the other team's top line, and I guess if you're wearing kind of rose-colored sunglasses, you can find positives in Mikko Koivu's game, even if he's not scoring. I mean, he's out there against the top line. He's taking the important draws, playing those important minutes. Then you look at a guy like Charlie Coyle, who's been a guy that a lot of people have been waiting for him to kind of you've seen flashes, but to harness all that ability that you know he's got and do something with it. And this season, I know he broke his leg early on, and that obviously was hard for him to come back from, but he just hasn't been the same person this season. He hasn't really taken that extra leap that I think people expected him to take. Just the inconsistencies in his game are kind of, what we've seen in the past. So again, there's 30 more games. Maybe he turns it on, but you mentioned Koivu and Coyle. Those are two guys that are going to need to play a lot better if the Wild want to make the playoffs.
He's been back now for 10 games after missing the start of the season with that surgery. How is Zach Parise looking to you?
He's looked a little better. I think that was something where a lot of people thought, Zach was going to come right back and everything was going to be fine. But it was always going to take some time with Zach. Just, he hadn't really touched pucks in a live game action in 8-something months when he was coming back. So regardless of how good his conditioning was, and it was good when he came back, just everything that comes with the other layers of the game, it was going to take some time. So it's not necessarily surprising that it took some time for him to get there, but you're starting to see him do the things that made him such a special player earlier in his career. And now I don't know if he's going to push for 15, 20 goals. I mean, he doesn't seem to be that type of dynamic scorer anymore, but he just deepens the entire lineup, and he does the little things that you really need out of one of the leaders on your team. So I don't think Zach is kind of the least of the Wild's concerns right now, because I think he's starting to play like everyone knows he's been able to play, and that's a good sign for them moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I let's try and end on some positives, though. The Minnesota Wild, I think, I'm not sure if they knew exactly what they got when they drafted him and brought him along, but Matthew Dumba is going to be a sensational defenseman for the Wild for many years to come. Love watching him play. He's a bit of a gambler sometimes, but you know what? I'll take that for what he brings to the team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he's the pulse of the Minnesota sports scene in terms of fandom. Matt Dumba is the most polarizing athlete in the state. I mean, because at least hockey-wise, because he's someone who there's so many people who, like you said, just look at that potential and just gaw over it. And then there's other people who can't overlook the fact that he'll pinch in sometimes and allow a goal. But we talked to Coach Bruce Boudreau about that earlier this year. How do you balance that when you have someone who's so dynamic like Matt Dumba? And he basically said, we'll take the good and the bad, because we know if we tell him not to play like he knows how to play, like his instincts tell him how to play, then he's just not going to be the same type of player. The Wild know that they're going to have to take some of the bad when he gambles up a little too much, and maybe there's an odd man rush the other way. But the things he can do with the puck, he's so quick through the neutral zone, and obviously he has that absolute bomb from the point that if he's online, it's going to be hard for anyone to stop that shot. And that's such a dynamic part of his game. And you're starting to see him harness that offensive ability. So he can just lock down defensively a little more. I mean, like you said, he's already on his way to being a sensational player in this league. But he can get even that much better. So the Wild really wanted to keep him this offseason. Chuck Fletcher and his staff did everything they could to not lose that Dumba to expansion, and you're starting to see why.
Yeah, absolutely. I just really like watching him play. You're right. Every now and again, you cough one up, but I think he gives you more than you sacrifice. Dane Mizutani covering Minnesota Wild for the Pioneer Press. At Dane Mizutani is how you follow him on Twitter. Dane will do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime.
Dane Mizutani with the Minnesota Wild, or the Pioneer Press covering the Minnesota Wild. Wild get back in action on Tuesday after the All-Star break. They will be in Columbus to take on Blue Jackets. Later on in the program, Alison Lukan will join us. She covers the Blue Jackets for The Athletic. Stephen Whyno coming up, covers the National Hockey League for the Associated Press. Jesse Granger with the latest on the Vegas Golden Knights, and Sean McIndoe from Sportsnet, Vice Sports at L, and we'll talk a little NHL. We'll talk a little bit of Olympics. Sean's done a nice piece that is in the New York Times about the Olympics coming up in a few weeks. We'll talk about that and a few other things all coming up. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd. Let's back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want, you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Saturday edition. We're live from NHL All-Star Weekend in Tampa. Yes, the All-Star Weekend is going on. The skills competition coming up on Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday afternoon, 3-on-3 tournament. Best from the West, best from the East will face off for outstanding cash and prizes. That's us. Actually, I had a really good discussion last night with John Leahy from NBC Sports, who had a wild suggestion about what to give the winners of the NHL All-Star. It's pretty outrageous. It'll never happen, but it's kind of an interesting suggestion. So I'm interested to see if that ever happens. We'll talk about it. Sean's going to join us coming up on the program tomorrow as we continue with the latest from Tampa. It's been a super busy weekend. Gather Festival, the parade, and all the rest of it. It is very busy here in Tampa. One of our favorites back to visit with us now. We'll take it up to the top of the hour. Wrote a really interesting piece about the Olympics that are coming up in the New York Times. We'll tweet out the link. I want to ask him about that in a second, but also a bunch of other things around the National Hockey League. You can check him out on Sportsnet, Vice Sports, and follow him on @DownGoesBrown. Sean McIndoe joins us. Sean, first of all, the important question. Can you define what goaltending is, please? Sean, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, you know what? I'm here at the rink, and I thought I had my bars, but apparently not. So I just made a run outside. So if you hear my teeth chattering, that's what's up.
Not a worry, my man. Just asking if you.
I missed your.
It was a real simple one. Can you just tell us what goaltender interference is, please?
Oh my gosh, it's. I was hoping you'd give me something a little easier, like some unsolvable math theorem. No, nobody has any idea. The answer, as far as any of us can tell, is that if there is anyone anywhere near a goaltender, then you call down for a review, and then we flip a coin and we see. I don't think any of us can figure it out, and I hope. I really do hope that the league takes a look at this, and not in the off season or down the road, but right now, or at the very least when the GMs are together in a few weeks, because when you've got Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid kind of openly making fun of your rules on the ice, you've got an issue.
Okay, so what do you suspect is a step in the right direction? I don't know that you ever solve the problem. Into more in this later, but
no.
Is there a step that you would like to see taken?
Yeah, I mean, what I would like to see with both the reviews, because I mean, this time last week it was the offside that we were all scratching our heads over. I would like to see it made clear that, look, when it comes to these reviews, we are looking to catch obvious misses. We are looking to catch, we accept and we understand that sometimes as an official, you're blocked out. Sometimes you don't have the right view. Sometimes you just miss a call. We've got the technology. Let's see if it's obvious. Then yeah, let's use the technology and overturn it. But if it's not clear, if it feels like a coin flip, let's let the call on the ice stand. And especially when it comes to goals, let's err on the side of letting a goal stand instead of taking one off the board. And, I feel like that's almost as simple as just changing the wording of the rule. Make it more like the NFL, where we are always told there has to be conclusive evidence or else the call on the field stands. The NHL doesn't really do that. The NHL basically says if it's a review, we're going to take a look and we're going to try to figure out as best we can. I don't know that you need to artificially enforce that by having shorter review times or only giving them a certain number of angles to look at. I would just make it really clear to the officials what we're looking for here is you take a look. If it's obvious, then change the call. If not, let it stand and we play on.
It's a suggestion. Certainly that's worthy of debate, and I'm with you. I hope that this is looked at and it is addressed, because I think there are that need to be done. Another thing I wanted to ask you about this year, this is significant disappointment in Canada. With the season that they have had, in Edmonton, the season that they have had, and with Montreal, that the season that they have had, and fan bases that are feeling it. But I think it's really, disappointing for the league as a whole that these three teams have taken such giant steps backwards here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we were maybe a little bit spoiled up here last year with so many teams making the playoffs and so many teams having success, we've really seen that that crash back to earth. And it was predictable to some extent when you looked at really all three of those teams. The Ottawa Senators were a team that I think most people agree they caught lightning in a bottle a little bit during the playoffs last year. I saw an awful lot of predictions where they were not picked to even make the playoffs this year, but nobody had them in the race for last place overall. Same thing with Montreal. A lot of people felt like, this is a team that maybe isn't as good as they've shown in the standings, but nobody had them missing the playoffs by double digits. And then you look at the Oilers, who I picked to win the Western Conference and play for the Stanley Cup. We all had our concerns over the forward scoring depth. We all had, we were wondering if some of these trades they were making were going to bite them, but I don't think anybody saw this. And certainly nobody saw the problems with special teams and the goaltending and everything that's hit them. I don't think they're this bad. I think this is one of those seasons where everything that can go wrong is, but it's certainly disappointing and probably more than disappointing, because that really feels right now like a situation where a lot of people are going to lose their jobs in that organization, and there's going to be a bit of a fresh start.
It's going to be interesting to touch and see how that plays out. And before we get out of time here, I want to ask you about a piece that I stumbled on this morning from the New York Times, that you talk about the Olympics coming up in a couple of weeks. I thought you captured the approach early, that it's not going to be Sidney Crosby, it's not going to be NHL players, but there are goodies that are going to be being played out on the Olympic stage. I don't know if you have another 1980 for Team A, but there's going to be interesting stories. It's going to be worthwhile watching the tournament. It's not going to be those big names from the NHL, but I think it's worthwhile to watch that hockey.
Yeah, that's about where I wound up because, like a lot of fans, I was very disappointed when the NHL made the decision not to go. And look, there's no point trying to sugarcoat anything. This will not be a best on best tournament. This will not be anything like the Olympics have been for the last 20 years, where you had the very best playing on the biggest stage for the highest stakes, and it was fantastic. And it's not going to be that. It's not going to be remotely close. But what it will be is some real interesting individual stories, certainly, and some teams that are made up of players who probably never expected to have this opportunity. Most of them have never been before, will never go again. And they're not going to go and play for 2 weeks and then go and jump right back into a NHL playoff race. For a lot of these guys, this is it. These are the biggest games they will ever play in their entire lives. And that makes it interesting in its own way. And it's going to be, I think, fun to watch and fun to follow along with some of these guys and sort of see where their path takes them, even though in terms of from a pure hockey quality point of view, it's not going to be anywhere close to what we're used to.
Oh, I think the games will be good. I think they'll be interesting and captivating. I suspect we find after 2 weeks of watching the Olympics and Olympic hockey that we see this and think, oh yeah, this is kind of the Olympics used to be, and what the Olympics are really all about, in the sense that the NHL we're finding the true Olympic games.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we remember, at least those of us who've been around long enough, we remember what those Olympics used to be like. And they created a lot of fun moments in their own rights, and a lot of names that were brought to the surface that we otherwise would never have heard about. And look, I know there's a lot of people who feel like this is what the Olympics should be. It shouldn't be a bunch of millionaires playing in games that they care about and that they want to win, but that might not even be the most important games they play that year, let alone in their lives. That it should be guys who are out there having their one and only one shot at winning an Olympic medal. And we can debate that. We can go back and forth on whether the pros should be involved or not. But the reality is that decision got made for us by Gary Bettman and friends, and I think the rest of us are left to enjoy what we do have in the best way that we can.
I agree. Sean McIndoe down on Twitter. Check him out on Vice Sports. Appreciate the time, and the hope we can do this again soon. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, McIndoe from Sportsnet and Vice Sports. We'll tweet out the link to that. It's a piece in the New York Times. I think it's really interesting about the approach to the Olympics. You should be looking at it. I think the Olympic game enjoyable experience in terms of what the hockey tournament is. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. First hour jammed up. We are super busy with guests, and a few more thoughts coming up on goaltender interference, because that's been kind of a big thing the last few days. Live from NHL All-Star Weekend, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hour number 2 of the program from Tampa Bay, live from NHL All-Star Weekend. Oh, it's taking over the city. It's taking over the downtown. So is the Gasparilla Pirate Festival and the parade happening? Oh, yes, the city has embraced it. It's kind of cool how they combine these two celebrations. The annual festival in Tampa, a couple of cocktails, a couple of eye patches, some beads tossed around. It's a good time for everyone. On the program, Stephen Whyno, who covers the National Hockey League for the Associated Press, will join us momentarily. Also coming up, Alison and Lukan covering the Columbus Blue Jackets for the Athletic. Cleveland will be here. And Jesse Granger, who is all over the Vegas Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Sun with the latest on Vegas Night Hour, and a lot of stories to get into. The NHL skills competition goes this evening. Of course, the 3-on-3 tournament tomorrow. NHL All-Star Weekend continues. Joining us to talk a little All-Star, to talk a little goaltender interference, and whatever else we can get into just past the midway point of the season, covering the National Hockey League for the Associated Press. Steve, I'll ask you this too. Can you tell me what goaltender interference is?
No, I can't. Connor McDavid can't. I'm not sure the NHL can at this point. And it's one of the issues that it's the reason why they didn't put goaltender interference review in for so many years. It's subjective. Sure, there's a black and white rule book that explains what goaltender interference is, but it's so open to interpretation for referees, for linesmen, for goaltenders, for players, for coaches, and general managers, that there was a reasonable hesitation putting this in to begin with. And I don't know what the solution is unless you come up with an inside the crease, outside the crease rule to mitigate some of the controversy and some of the gray area that's going on with this right now.
The other thing gets me about this is a lot of people are pointing at Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid, as you said, and I that showing a little personality that we've gotten of this has been a good thing, but they're also getting heat from it. And I think that's
sure, and they're getting heat for it because you're being taught not to have personality in this sport. And you're grown up to say that the logo on the front matters more than the name on the back. But I don't mind these guys saying these things. I don't mind the Austin Matthews kind of calling out if there's a goaltender interference, because you do want to see more personality out of these guys, and that's one of the things we always clamor for. And PK Subban starts making jokes during the Cup final last year. Everyone says he's showing too much personality. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, and this weekend is perhaps the best opportunity that we'll get to having a little bit of personality. The skills competition tonight, everybody kind of relaxes. Everybody kind of takes it easy. Sure, they're going to try. They want to do their best, but I don't think they're going to be okay. Happen to lose the relay challenge to the other team. This is an event that gets looked upon by some as, why are we doing this? But this is a really important event for the NHL, and it's a great opportunity for the league also.
It is, and it's fun. Back when the All-Star game wasn't 3-on-3 tournament, I would think that the skills competition, at least to me, was the high point of the weekend. You got to see kind of skills of guys that you see in bits and pieces and shifts during games. But the hardest shot and the fastest skater, very tangible skills And you're like, yeah, we know this McKinnon's fast. How fast is he? Like, is he the fastest guy, fastest skater among all these guys? How fast can Zdeno Chara shoot the puck? And the 3-on-3 has added a little bit more fun to the Sunday of the week. But we've seen some personality here. We saw PK Subban dressing up like Jaromir Jagr a couple of years ago. We saw Alex Ovechkin with the Canadian flags in his hat several years ago in Montreal. There's some personality that comes out of these guys on All-Star Weekend, and particularly the skills competition. We don't get to see a lot of the rest of the year.
No, and unfortunately, that event isn't part of the skills competition anymore, which I find frustrating. But that's another thing. I think the All-Star event, it's also important, like the Winter Classic or much event when you are in the city and you attend versus trying to watch on television.
Yeah, it is, and bringing an event like this to Tampa is important just to showcase just how much growth you've had in the hockey market at Tampa. Steven Stamkos re-signing there, Jeff Vinnick kind of essentially might be the best owner in sports right now. And cool for fans there to be able to see these guys up close, whether it's at these concerts like last night where Steven Stamkos and PK Subban came out, or whether it's actually at these events or autograph signings or community events. You lose a little bit of it on TV. It's fun to see it in person, but it also is an event that it is worth tuning into.
Yeah, I would agree. Stephen Whyno covers the National Hockey League for the Associated Press. At @SWhyno is how you follow him on Twitter. I want to shift over and talk about a couple of things in the NHL. One of the teams that you follow closely, the Washington Capitals, find themselves on top of the Metro Division. And I think that surprises a lot of people. I think everybody was thinking, oh, maybe it's Columbus this year. Washington, maybe without the attention and pressure, maybe they're just playing their game this season.
Yeah, and a little bit of that, and it's just things have worked out. I mean, Alex Ovechkin has put more of an emphasis into goal scoring this year and being better at 5-on-5. I think the past couple of years, with the strength of teams the Capitals had, they kind of wanted to ease him back, play him a little bit less, kind of get him ready for the playoffs, and didn't need him to score as much. And now that he's kind of geared up to score, I think the switch back to PCM 6 has helped him a lot. And him being on pace for 50 goals, and Braden Holtby playing at maybe not a Vezina Trophy winning level, but certainly a Vezina caliber level again this year, has helped mitigate a lot of the losses. Justin Williams, Colin Paulson, and Marcus Johansson, Nate Schmidt. You're seeing a lot of these guys have some impact elsewhere, but the players who stepped in their places, whether it's Jacob Vrana into the lineup, Tom Wilson up the lineup, guys like Christian Djoos and Madison Valley on defense have filled in well. And I don't know whether to say either the Capitals are Stanley Cup contenders again or Stanley Cup favorites, certainly not in a conference with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But when you have top-end talent like Ovechkin and Backstrom and Holtby, and we'll see how bad this injury to Evgeny Kuznetsov is, this is a team that can do some damage and certainly can win the Metropolitan Division for third year in a row.
I mean, telling Stanley Cup contenders is the worst thing that could happen to them because they're just kind of going through their drill right now. The other thing that brings to me and watching how it plays out in the final third of the year, it looked like New Jersey off to the great start. They were going to be in solid. They slipped back. Philadelphia had the big long skid. Didn't think they had a chance. Those are the two wild card teams now, and both the New York teams, the Rangers and the Islanders on the outside. I'm really anxious to see how this shakes out before the season's done.
Me too, and I'm interested to see what shakes out over the next month too, because as Larry Brooks in the New York Post reported yesterday, the Rangers are looking to have a fire sale at the trade deadline, and essentially give up on the season to kind of reset for the future. Something the San Jose Sharks did in the offseason a few years ago, to not entirely go into a rebuild, but to try to build some assets to be a real Stanley Cup contender in a couple of years. And we don't know what's going to happen with John Tavares in the future, so we don't know what's going to happen with these New York teams. And the way the Flyers and Devils are playing, they could be the best team in hockey or the worst team in hockey on any given night. And you do have to give credit to John Hines and Dave Haxtell for getting these teams into the race, whether it was John Hines early with a lot of changes and young players the Devils brought in, or the Flyers kind of coming back from after a good start, really going into that slump there and a long losing streak. That they're Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, Jacob Voracek, essentially all having career seasons. That it's hard to count on anyone in the Metropolitan Division right now. We haven't even talked about Carolina. It's supposed to have a playoff spot. Metropolitan Division is insane right now.
And it's like the Central Division in the West Conference. There's shifting and moving back and forth, and which makes it great for everyone as they follow.
On the Atlantic, you talked about Tampa as maybe being the best team in hockey, but Bruins are making a case too with 18 straight games with a point, 14-0-4.
Yeah, the Bruins are legit contenders in the Atlantic Division, and I think we're all kind of salivating over the possibility of a Bruins Maple Leafs first round matchup, which unless Tampa falters, is all but set at this point, figuring 5 teams in the Metro are going to get in. But Boston right now, when they've got goaltending and you've got Patrice Bergeron, it depends how long Charlie McAvoy is out, how much that affects a very young D4. But Zdeno Chara is playing very well defensively, penalty kill, kind of play you expect from him in his upper 30s, beyond maybe, certainly not what he was in his 20s, but still a good player at that point. And to see an older Bruins team with guys mixed in like Pastrnak, facing a young Austin Matthews and the Leafs, that'd be a lot of fun come April.
Well, it would immediately draw the Harrison, Ross, Toronto, and Boston in the first round. Looked like Toronto was going to win. You would immediately rekindle that rivalry to a new level again.
Yeah, and it's a fun rivalry too. Everybody talks about Leafs and Canadians, but Leafs and Bruins, because of that playoff series, have mattered more over the years. Just given how dramatic that blowing a 4-1 lead was for Toronto in that Game 7, that even though there are no players back, still maybe Leo Komarov was on that team, but not a whole lot of connections from the Toronto team. But certainly the people will be reminding the Leafs and people will be reminding the Bruins of what happened back then.
Before I look to, I should ask you about the Brad Hand suspension for the Boston Bruins. 5 games for the flying elbow on Marcus Johansson of the New Jersey Devils. He is in Tampa. He participated in the All-Star week. That's another area that has a lot of people scratching their heads. Are you surprised at the 5? Too much, too little? I think the number is almost irrelevant at this point with Marchand. He's going to get suspended a few times in his career, and this one just happens to be 5 games.
I think it matters because it's going to set a precedent for future incidents like that and for future incidents in his career, because we know what kind of player Brad Marchand is, and 5 games seemed about right. I'm okay with him taking part in the All-Star Weekend stuff. I remember when Alex Ovechkin several years ago was suspended and refused to take part in All-Star Weekend, and that became a bigger story of him not being there and choosing not to be there because he was suspended. Brad Marchand's a player that the Bruins love to have. The NHL wants players to play on the edge. A 5-game suspension sends a little bit of a message to kind of rein that in. Critics certainly say it's not enough of a message because Brad Marchand is going to continue playing like that. The thing is, the Bruins want him to play with some sort of edge, with some sort of physical play, because he's not really a big guy. But it's saying you cannot allow hits like that. There are certain hockey plays, or non-hockey plays, that George Parros wants to take out of the game. And certainly the elbow on Johansson from Brad Marchand was one of those plays.
Covering the National Hockey League for the Press. Follow him on Twitter at @Whyno. Stephen, thanks for the time today. Always enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do it again.
Thanks.
Sorry, it's just doing business. That's just the cost of doing business. The Bruins pay him for 82 games a year, and you know what? He might play 5 because he's going to get suspended. Players get hurt. They miss a game here and there because they get dinged up, get injured. It's just the way it is. It happens. It's the cost of kind of player for the best of his career. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. We're live from NHL All-Star Weekend in Tampa Bay. A little bit of business going on this weekend as well. In Tampa Bay, governors are meeting. Peter LeBrun saying that there will be games in Europe next season again. Edmonton and New Jersey will play a regular season in Sweden. Winnipeg Jets, Florida Panthers will play a regular season game in Finland. As part of a greater presence in Europe. Do it.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 D's. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at Hockey Filtered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Still looking for your nominations for the Dog of the Day, something we do every Saturday. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send us your photos of your dog. Tell you goes along with it. We like that too. At Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Lots to get into before the top of the hour. We'll continue live from Tampa and NHL All-Star Weekend. The skills competition is coming up later on this evening. Resuming up on Tuesday. We'll tackle the topic of goaltender interference a little bit too. We're still going on and on and on about that. Alison Lukan covering Columbus Blue Jackets for the Athletic. Alison L. And she joins us now. Alison, the break come at a good Jackets with a few off for everybody now except Zach Werenski, who's subbing for Seth Jones?
Hey, Todd, you broke up a little bit there. Can I beg you to repeat the question? I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to. Did the break come at a good time for Columbus?
Yes, I think that it did. It's a weird time for the team. They just had their bye week. They only have 10 games this month, but they were dealing with quite a few significant injuries. So I think just from a perspective for the team to get healthy, it's great. It's affected their ability to get into a bit of a rhythm, though. That's something that John Tortorella mentioned after the last game in Arizona. So there hasn't necessarily been a consistency of play, but from a health perspective, the more days off, the better right now.
Yeah, it is. And Troy, as he said, yeah, go out and have fun, live it up while we're here. I think kind of in a to take her off the team too.
I'm so sorry, Todd. I'm going to make you say it again.
Not at all. We're having a couple of technical issues. I think the Vegas break where Tortorella's going to have fun to try to leave the pressure from everyone.
Absolutely. I think it was a pretty respectable approach for the team to just own, hey, we're going to Vegas. Let's enjoy it. We're not going to try and hide it. We're going to give the guys some intentional time to hang out, be in Vegas. For a lot of these young guys, this is a young team. It's their first time in Vegas. So they went out early, gave them that time. And some of the guys commented, aside from the fun and the jokes, that it really was a benefit to have that team bonding time too. And again, for a young group and some new faces on this roster this year, I think that was an additional benefit for them.
So how do we approach the game? Is it just refocus and go back to base what they do?
I'm so sorry. What was it, Todd?
If this game is Minnesota coming, okay, what's past is past, just refocus and play our game?
Yeah, I think that where they are is they have to now get in a groove, find that consistency that I mentioned earlier, and find some confidence too. Again, there was some injuries, some personnel changes, but they have to find that confidence in how they play. This team doesn't always look the same on the ice as they did last season. And so I think that hopefully with a jam-packed January, they can say, let's be the team we know we can be and play that way for 60 minutes, night in and night out.
Alison Lukan is with us. She covers the Columbus Blue Jackets for The Athletic in Cleveland. At Alison L is how you follow her on Twitter. Is the Jack Johnson situation kind of hanging over the team a little?
Yeah, I was just talking about this with someone last night. It is another situation where I've been pretty impressed with how the team handled it. I do not think it's hanging over this group. And I think that, again, it's because it feels like all sides are dealing in complete honesty. This isn't a situation where Jack is unhappy. This isn't a situation where he doesn't like the team. He doesn't like the city. His wife is from here. He enjoys it here quite a bit. It's a situation where, particularly given some of Jack's personal issues that happened a couple years ago, he needs to find the maximum possible exposure and ice time so that his next contract, which is arguably going to be his last, can be a substantial one so that he can take care of his family. And maybe that is in Columbus. If he can pick up his play, maybe that's somewhere else. We will see. But I think because everyone's pretty honest about it and everyone knows there's not an ounce of personal energy directed at either side, that it's going as well as it can go.
The Blue Jackets is the Brandbinski, who has left the team's home. Is there anything that we can dive into deeper about
this other than he's away from the team while to sort of figure out the plan forward? That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we just have to, hope that the issues that the player is facing are things that he can manage through. As I've said a couple times, my priority for him, and I believe a lot of people's, is that as a human being, he's fine and everything works out for him and those who care about him and his teammates. He did miss a team meeting Tuesday in Vegas. He did miss the skate there. Aaron Portzline reported that it was expected he would have played Thursday in Arizona. So, obviously he's working through something, and we just hope that he can work through that and then find a way to get back to the ice.
Yeah, that's the thing that everybody hopes for, that whatever the issue is, that it does get resolved and Brandon Dubinsky can resume his career as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. How does this affect Jarmo Kekalainen going forward towards the trade deadline in less than a month?
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and it's as we've joked, and you and I've even joked about this all year. It's funny to see the hand wringing when the Jackets are still in the playoff spot right now. But I think that this team is going to tell Jarmo what he needs to do in probably these next week and a half time frame. As I mentioned, it's stacked with games, stacked with division games. And we're going to see if this is a team that can, as we already talked about, kind of return to that commanding style of play and show that the points they put in the bank early this year are, in fact, the basis for a continued strong season. Or if they struggle, then he's going to see that too. But I think that before, we certainly thought that Jarmo would be a buyer. And I still tend to think that he will be at the deadline, but I think we'll know for sure here in the next week and a half.
I think the key for Columbus, because the competition in the Metro is so close with New Jersey and Philadelphia, now Pittsburgh is coming on as well, is maybe not to try to do too much too quickly. Maybe where patience is the way to go.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because their window is open. They have a couple years, to your point. So I don't think that we're going to see anything rash. With Brandon Dubinsky out, there continues to be some challenges down the center of the ice. There continues to be some challenges of getting some additional guys to get going offensively. But I don't think that we're looking at a situation where Jarmo's going to go all in and waste the team's future for a move this year. And Jarmo is known historically for being patient. And so this is a situation where he could just sit pat. We've had a couple of those in Columbus, and it could happen again.
Yeah, I honestly think that might be the thing that makes the most sense for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Alison Lukan covering Jackets for The Athletic in Cleveland. At Alison L is how you follow her on Twitter. Thanks for this as always, Alison. Enjoy the conversations immensely. Appreciate your patience with the technical difficulties too. We'll do it again.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful day, Todd.
Luke covering the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is the right thing for Columbus, that we're here. We're still in a good spot. We're in second place in our division as it stands right now, based on the points accumulated and the number of games played. 57 points, same as the Pittsburgh Penguins. But let's not try to go too quickly. There's times when you do want to go all in. This year, this is the opportunity that we're seizing. But this is that has taken some pretty good steps in that year, and young talent that ending and will grow further in the next year or two. Use the experience to your advantage. Don't try to do too quickly. I think that be the being virtue might be the right move for the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. Sure, you might want to do a little move, do a little tinkering, show that you're supporting your team, but trying to do much at once in this year might be the way to go for that. At Todd Lewis, Twitter, and today to send your photos to nominate your dog for the dog of the day. Join us in the segment. We'll take you up to the top of the hour. Got some goalie interference, saying there's a few different layers to the onion.
the calls, where to go, what the procedures could be. Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid getting some attention for voicing their opinion at the frustration. You're always going to have a certain level of frustration. That's the part that needs to be dealt with. And there's some other areas as well that are definitely lacking. At Hockey Unfiltered, Lewis will join us after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
With Todd, it's the Saturday edition here, Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at Hockey on Fat Todd Lewis Sports. We're live today for NHL All-Star Weekend. The All-Star Weekend we're going on Friday night, the Fan Fest outdoors, the concert, and turn all down. It's a good time. The weather certainly doesn't hurt. If you're having it in a nice, warm, comfortable climate to attracting attention, attracting crowds, and starting to see a they're coaching it now as a bit of an obligation, with a lot less of the oh man, you need to go to the 2 days. Yeah, but you know what? Treated really well. It's not a super taxing physical thing to do. Game. It's a chance of the game. Hang out with people and have a good time. It's special events. It's really good. Top of the hour news. We get into a lot of the discussion over the last has been with some thoughts on that up to the top of the hour. Touch on a little bit with the stories in Vegas in the season, the success that they are having. Granger versus the Vegas Knights of the Las Vegas. Granger _, is how you follow him on Twitter. He joins us now. Jesse, is this about as good dream season as the Vegas Golden Knights have imagined together. Jesse, looks like we lost Jesse. That's unfortunate. But this is about as good a dream season as Vegas could have. Coming out and expecting competitive is one thing. That's what everybody looked for. Vegas Golden Knights, they had some players of notoriety, certainly more so than any previous expansion. But to have this incredible record, 32, 12, and 4 through 48 games in the season, the home record, everybody kind of joked about that. Sure, okay, that's fine. We'll play well at home. Some of it, but their road record has been also really good. 13-9 and 2. 5 in their last 10. I think the second half of the season is going to get a little more difficult for the Vegas Golden Knights. They're still get federal reach in terms of the swing of game. It does get tough. That'd be the interesting thing to watch. Vegas Golden Knights plus happened with roster. Of course, going in, and he thought, no, and set the deadline. Jonathan, so if he has good goals, isn't just 5-year contract. Jesse apparently is back with us. Are you with us again? This is a dream season.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm here. I just can't hear anything you're saying.
Hi, Jesse. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
This is a dream season for Vegas, or could it get even better? Our apologies. Apparently, this is not going to work with Jesse, but this has been a dream season for the Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about the home record being so good. The road record is also good. But now what happens with the Vegas Golden Knights roster? The trade deadline, Jonathan Marchessault, we talked about him being re-signed already. The focus is going to shift now to other players that are pending unrestricted free agents on the Vegas Golden Knights, most notably James Neal. And this is an interesting decision to make the choice of whether or not to re-sign James Neal. Output is there, absolutely. 22 goals on the season, that's fantastic. But you have to accept the first-year unbelievable success and plan for the longer term with James Neal and the rest of your roster as well. James Neal's 30, going to be 31 before next season starts. How big a contract do you want to give him if you want to even consider re-signing James Neal? What might you get at the NHL trade deadline? He's going to offer you the opportunity to get a very big return if you trade James Neal to another team. Now, do you want to trade him to another team in the West, or you want to shift or trade to the East? Consideration, but I think you really got to listen and decide whether or not you want to keep James Neal. Unrestricted free agent this summer. Can you re-sign him? Probably. Would he be interested in re-signing? Seems to make sense. But is the dollar amount over the number of years going to get to a point for the Vegas Golden Knights where they say, you know what? That might be a little rich for us. I think the dollar number plus the number of years is the big one. Can you get him for 5 years? Or is he going to want the maximum 8-year contract? Because if you start going over 5 years for me on James Neal, you lose me at that point. I don't want more than 5 years. In fact, I would be hard-pressed to go to 5 years if I'm the Vegas Golden Knights and trying to re-sign James Neal. I'm not denying the production. It's great. 22 goals.
but he wasn't meant to be there when you start to be a successful team. This is accidental that it's happened this early. I'm not sure that I want to keep James Neal. I'm sure that I want to keep other players on the on the roster either. I'm not sure that I want to do that. 5 years for James Neal, I could be convinced if the dollar amount is right. I could be convinced if the dollar amount is right. But I don't think you're getting him for the same money that you're getting Jonathan Marchessault. And that's where it goes off the rails for me, for James Neal. That's where it gets more difficult. And the other player that's going to get an awful lot because he had a resurgent season for the Vegas Golden Knights is David Perron. 11 goals, 41 points. That's a nice season for David Perron. But his level of consistency throughout his career hasn't been there. It's been up and down. It hasn't been there. So take this great season that David Perron is having and give you and take it and use that to net yourself an asset in return. That's the right move with David Perron. Oh, but look at the season he's having. This is where the mistakes get made. And George McPhee hasn't made the mistakes at this point. He's used the drafted players and brought in assets where he can, knowing that he is building for the future. And this is an outstanding season for the Vegas Golden Knights, but it's the first season, the first of hopefully many where they're successful after year. Anything they do beyond this point is an overwhelming bonus. They're in such a position that they've scored so many goals and played so well and have such a home record and find themselves up on top of the Pacific Division standings because other teams have had stops and starts. That is accidental. This wasn't expected to happen. So now they're in a position where, you know what? If we play 500 hockey the rest of the way, we had no problem making ourselves into the playoffs. We got no problems making our way into the playoffs. So take that, get into the playoffs, and then do what you can. If you have a 1 series and out, you're way ahead. 1 series and out, you've already exceeded your expectations because you've made it into the playoffs. You've generated enthusiasm. You started to build a fan base. You started to generate attention in the city. Take this season as it is. What are your chances realistically of going deep into the playoffs? It's great to say, oh, all you have to do is get in and then you have an opportunity to win. Yeah. And how often does that happen? Not very often. Everybody points to the LA Kings. Oh, yes, but look, they finished as the 8th seed and they won the Stanley Cup that year. Right. How many times did it happen before that? It doesn't happen that often. Use the assets in the correct way. If you want to re-sign James Neal, I'd be exploring it. I'd be talking about it. But going beyond a 5-year contract, that's impossible. And even getting to 5 years, if the money's not 5 years for $6, $30 million, is he going to take the same money as Jonathan Marchessault? I don't see it. David Perron, he's going to want a multi-year deal. I get in trouble with that because he's been too inconsistent. It'll bring you an asset. That's the way to look at it for Vegas. That's the way I'm looking at it if I'm Vegas. But look, we're having such a great season. You are. You've already invigorated and started to grow your fan base. Now build on it long term. Don't go in, sign players to too long and too rich a contract and not give the opportunity to those younger players, those highly skilled younger players that you're already getting into your system, that in 2 years you expect to be leading your team to lots more success moving forward. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. We got one more segment up to the top of the hour. We'll get into the goalie interference thing because I've had some thoughts on it. There's an area that is sadly lacking because everybody's griping about it. Everybody's saying, why is this interference? Why isn't that interference? I'm not sure that everybody's approaching it from the right direction. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design, Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. We're back tomorrow, Sunday at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Steve Laidlaw will join us tomorrow with the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. Also scheduled to be joined by Sean Leahy from NBCSports.com. We'll talk a little, a few ideas and suggestions that Sean and I talked over last night. And also by Phil Pritchard, the keeper of the cup, who is escorting it around Tampa Bay as we speak. Part of the Gasparilla Pirate Festival parade. It's out on a boat. And if you haven't seen it on Twitter, the Stanley Cup has a life jacket on it. I think this is a first. I think this is the first time they put a life jacket on the Stanley Cup. Probably could have put it on a few other times, like it went swimming in Mario's pool. But I think this is actually the first time it's had a life jacket on. We'll find out for sure from Phil when he joins us for a visit tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. We're live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. We apologize for some of the technical issues that we've had today. We will, I assure you, have it corrected for tomorrow. If you've missed anything, you can check us out on our podcast. Subscribe through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, and of course, they're available on the Hockey Unfiltered app. So I've been talking about this whole goaltender interference thing and the whole missed opportunity and the real problem and the real issue with goaltender interference. Everything kind of bubbled over on Thursday during the Flames and Oilers game. Connor McDavid looked like it was the game-winning goal in overtime. Hold on, video review, goaltender interference. Everybody said, "Oh, that should have been a goal. That should have been a goal." There was contact. It was ruled there was no goal. On the play, though, Flames goaltender David Rittich, he was hot after that. He starts storming off the ice, smashes his stick into a million pieces. He got a 10-minute misconduct for that. Connor McDavid, after the game goes through to the shootout, he scores the goal, and he kind of points upstairs and says, give him a call. Make sure that one's okay. He got an abuse of officials penalty for that. Funnily enough, it didn't show up on the NHL box score on NHL.com. Oh, interesting. Okay. Now, in this game, first off, I think the refs take a lot of crap that they shouldn't from players. But in this game with Edmonton and Calgary, I think Kendrick Nicholson and Steve Kazari were asses by calling those penalties. David Rittich, how many times have you seen a goaltender slam his stick after missing a shot in a shootout or an overtime goal? Happens all the time. Guys don't get called. McDavid, he wasn't too over the top. He chirped, but he got an abusive officials penalty. That's asinine. This game, though, did get somewhat out of hand for these refs. They made some bad calls early, and I think they were taking it out on the offending players. Now, for goaltender interference, it's a bit of a smelly onion because there's a lot of layers, and one of the first problem is that people have unrealistic expectations of video review. It's like, oh, ref sees a play, he makes the call, one team likes it, the other doesn't. You are always going to have 50% of the people disagree with the call. So to say that there's this magic bullet of video review that will look at it and make a call and everyone will be happy is completely asinine. Video review is initiated, the ref takes a peek, somebody on the horn from Toronto helps facilitate replays. It either confirms or changes the call. But either way, you are only getting 50% satisfaction maximum. Why is it that we feel that because we have video review that everything should be unicorns and rainbows? Doesn't work that way. You are still going to have people disagree with the call. Whether you use video and you can look at it from 100 angles for as long as you want, or if there's a limited number of angles or a limited time, you are only going to get a certain amount of satisfaction from video review goaltender interference. It is an interpretive call. It is a judgment decision. And everybody makes a judgment in their own mind based on their own personal criteria. The call of goaltender interference is always going to be one of interpreting the play as it happens on the ice, and every play is a snowflake. They are all unique. So just saying, well, we'll go to video review, we'll look at it, we'll make the call, and everyone will be happy, a completely unrealistic expectation. It is always interpretive. Now, the coach's comments, come on, man. Ken Hitchcock was hot. Mike Babcock was hot. Other coaches have been hot. Every outlet that's looking for a great quote, great snippet of sound, that hoping that you watch, hoping that you click on it, because that's what the bosses are looking for. Ooh, how many numbers? How many people viewed that? How many people clicked on that? How many coaches' comments from an NHL head coach regarding a goaltender interference call that went their way have we heard? Zero. Because the coach said, yeah, I agreed with the call. It's not provocative. It's not salacious. The coaches are immediately lobbying for a next call. That's why they're chirping the way they are. That's what coaches do. They work the refs. But this unrealistic expectation that, oh, we'll have video review and everything will be fine. Can you clarify the wording in the rule book? Probably. Make it a little more focused, make it a little more definitive. That would certainly be helpful. But the other problem is that the NHL PR department has done a terrible job dealing with this. They have been absolutely absent. Once after each play is reviewed. Well, there's a tweet, and eventually the story comes up on the NHL.com website that there was a situation in game number whatever, something to the effect of there was a challenge for goaltender interference. It was initiated at such and such a time of the period by the head coach of whatever team. The review call was confirmed or it was overturned according to rule 69.1 or 69 point whatever. And they just cut and paste it from the rule book and put that in the story and then put that in the social media post. That doesn't help anyone. Simply regurgitating the legal language puts most people to sleep because they don't understand it. Nobody benefits. Get your video team to work. Put together some plays. Show the incident of goaltender interference. Show what the ruling was on the ice.
And if it's overturned, describe and illustrate why the ruling was overturned. Now, you are still not going to get more than 50% satisfaction with the ruling, because you're still going to have 50% of the people who, if it goes against your team, don't like it, or if it goes for your team, well, yeah, I do kind of like that ruling. I do agree with it. If you get 50% satisfaction, that is the best you can hope for. And what you will get by putting together the video and showing the ruling, why it was or why it was not goaltender interference, you get informed fans. You get a far less agitated and bitchy, irate fan base. Because right now, everybody's just piling on. Everybody's just piling on and sniping and joining in just because it's fun. Oh, yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They got to change the rule. It's the immediate overreaction. Unless you clearly explain and show what the infraction is, how do you expect anything except grumpy fans? You can't. You've got to go to work on this. Take your time, sift through the details, give us a clear explanation. You'll understand. You might not be happy about it. You might not agree with it if it goes against your team, but you can rationalize it, especially if you can compare two similar situations. Yeah, you know what? I can't agree with that, but I can see why they ruled this way. That is the best you can hope for from the part of the fan base that disagrees with your call. I don't really agree with it, but I understand it because this is how they made this ruling. He did touch the goaltender's stick. He did bump the goaltender's hand. He was in the crease when he did it. These are the things that I can understand. But if you simply cut and paste the legal language that says, according to Rule 69.1, no goaltender interference had taken place, no one cares. This is the same thing as if you're at an airport and you're waiting to go for a flight and you're getting close to, and then you pass the time of boarding and then the scheduled departure time, and nobody has said anything and no one has made an announcement. It makes everyone crazy. But if you say, you know what? The conditions are really foggy and the plane that's supposed to be taking you here can't land, or there's a mechanical issue that we're going to have to repair and it's going to take 2 hours, people aren't going to like it. But they understand it and they will accept it. This is the same thing. It's information, it's communication. And their PR department has been brutal at it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, if you want to weigh in. Busy show coming up again tomorrow. Thanks to our guests, to Alison, Lukan, to Steve Whyno, to Sean McIndoe, to Dane Mizutani, Sean Gentille, Joe Yerdon. Coming up tomorrow, Phil Pritchard, Sean Leahy will join us, and of course, Stephen Laidlaw with the Fantasy Five. Enjoy and continue to enjoy NHL All-Star Weekend. Back with you Sunday morning at 11 Eastern.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great, Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.